Hi guys, welcome to Real Talk. There's always some aspect of politics I don't like. I want to be the worst leader in the world. After this video, you'll have an appreciation of your leaders. Let's talk politics. Leaders and politicians alike, they're all needed by society. Even with that same need for leaders, nobody will be a perfect leader. This is simply because of different objectives or goals or what people believe as needed or not needed by a few, by a many, and at what time it's needed. What people value and want at different points in time change. You will never have a perfect leader. We try to blame leadership when something goes wrong. Leaders are manifestations of what the people want and value. Because it's very difficult to become a leader. You should act a certain way, you should move a certain way, you should decide on certain things, and you have to make some dirty decisions that some people might not be willing but would want the result of that off. And that's why leaders are important. One of the requirements of being a politician or a leader is popularity. There's some frustration when somebody famous, like an actor or somebody on the television, on a small screen, runs for office. But that's a minimum expectation that the person that is becoming a leader is widely accepted. Popularity is important. You can't buy from someone you don't know. It has to be somebody you can relate to. And that minimum level of interaction where you know that person is very, very important. Here's an example. This actor pretended to be a president and won over this actual politician. You get the point. Popularity is important. Being a leader, like deciding on what is the correct course of action and what your basis for decision is. The best leaders have the best long-term total social welfare value that they bring permanently and scalably. I think that's the best impact that the leader might have. Nobody has ever said, I want to be the worst leader in the world. Politicians. Every time somebody talks about politics or they take themselves out of reality, I think that's wrong. That works for science and math, theoretical concepts like that, but not with social concepts like politics. They bleed. They have their needs as well. They have families. Politicians are leaders or people that you know. Politicians are human too. They have friends just like you. They eat. People and politicians and leaders, don't think of them as a separate concept. People are people. The more you separate yourself, the more you're part of the problem. A politician is a friend, and there is no fine line between somebody who's just socially responsible and somebody who is driving change. Except designation, private armies, money, respect, loyalty. Yeah, but you get the point. There's no fine line between these two, right? Let's talk about change. Politics, it's a social mechanism in which you drive change. In which changes are more important is usually dictated by the person deciding or the leaders. If you don't lobby, you lose on pushing for things that you think are important. And that's why politics is important. You need that social mechanism for countries to move, for organizations to move, for companies to move. Some of the change that the leaders want might be different from what they think within their party and what the people think. There's no lack of difference of opinion here. Some groups might have a stronger voice and dictating what's needed, and some people are just lobbying for it and they win. And when people like these win, the fault is not really that they push for something that they want, it's just because that the other people did not push for the things that are more important or what others believe as more important. And this is the same reason why you should get involved with politics. If you want a specific change, you should get involved. Change is not all good. Change is something that you might sell, but only improvement is good. But even if you call a change an improvement, what you define as good or bad change is still dependent on who's winning and how it's marketed. When trying to push for a change, I think it's important to talk about the form of government and governance model. For a form of government and a governance model are both different. We would want to say we are a democratic country. In our school, we were compelled to. It was compulsory to wear your ID. It's a democratic country, but I wasn't really given a choice. So the form of governance was actually more mechanistic. And in that case, the form of governance is different from what they're telling as a form of government. So we're saying we're a democratic country. We're a democratic organization. Whether or not they say that, people believe that there is some sort of form of governance. And the form of governance is also different. A more recent example of this is China. So China is more of a capitalist, socialist state. If you look at how they run the government now, it's with a heavy hint of capitalism. So they don't say they're a capitalist country as a form of government. They say they are a republic for the people. That's where people get things mixed up. People expect certain things from democracy. The governance could still be changed. Nobody just says, you failed the form of government type, we're going to change your classification to you are now a socialist country. That's never happening. It's just a title that somebody put. When you lobby for someone within your team, not do you only need to think about the leader itself, because even if you select the best leaders, if they're in the wrong environment, they will never succeed. When they are trying to push for a change and the environment is not conducive for them to make the proper changes, just selecting the right leader is not enough to make a difference. I think it's important to think about these concepts. You have a choice as to not fixing the environment, but you have a certain degree of control. People want to make you feel in a democratic country that you can vote or select your leaders. They always say, never talk about politics. To know what you think, let me know in the comments down below what you think about politics and selecting your leaders. Share and like this video for people who you want to be informed. I'm hoping after this video you have some appreciation for your leaders, your public servants, your politicians. And remember, they're your friends, family, and they're people too.